Welcome to the Tiffany Mika podcast. What we do here is build the strength and courage in you to accomplish your big dreams and goals in your sport. No longer will you feel limited. You won't feel you're not good enough. You won't question whether you will make it. Those doubts will disappear because you will have the competitive edge over your opponents and leave them in your wake. And the bonus is others will notice. Listen up and take notes because I will show you exactly how to do it. Hey there, Tiff here, and welcome to the Tiffany Mika podcast. Well, it's been a bit of time since I've recorded an episode for you, and the reason for that is over the month of August, like I was saying to you, if you've been listening to me for a while, I was going to be turning 50 soon. So in August, that's what happened. I turned 50, and I thought what I would do would share lessons learned with you, and I had written out all of these lessons that I had learnt along the way, and I thought that it was really important to share that with you. But in that time too, I was doing a lot of reflection. I did take some time off as well. I needed to we were going to have a holiday because we were going to have a celebration, for a milestone achieved. But I went through like this reflection and what I wanted the future to look like, and really started to question where I was at. And I had put all these lessons that I had learned down on paper because I wanted to share all these lessons that I'd learned for, the last 50 years, which I'm going to share with you today. But there were a lot more lessons, and because I was going through this period of, and you'll probably get it more when you get to 50. I've been asking a lot of people, did you go through the same sort of thing? And a lot of people have. So if you're 16 or 20, and you're like, oh yeah, well, 50 seems so old. It's not. That happens in a blink of an eye. And I can't believe that it's happened so quickly. Like, I'm just like, I can't believe it. I'm just getting started, right? So I've been through this bit of an emotional roller coaster over the last month. Yes, celebrating turning 50, and also the reflection of the last 10 years especially, and also what the next 10 years I wanted to look like. And when we had a holiday away just recently, the last 2 weeks, I went through a huge emotional roller coaster. Like, I had highs and lows big time, and I was teary, excited, every kind of emotion that you could think of. I went through that. And so what I then did was, when I came back, I thought I can't share those initial lessons that I had written out that I wanted to share with you, because I didn't feel that was the right message that I wanted to give you. So what I've done is I've actually gone back through it, and I've rewritten 5 major lessons learned in the last 50 years. And I think these are probably the most important lessons that I've learned. And I just want to make you aware of them, because I could share like 50 lessons easy. And I had written up, 10, 15 lessons, previously. And I thought, no, that's just too much. And I want to give you something that's impactful, something that's really simple, something that's really easy to understand, and that will help benefit you. Because I know once I rewrote these, I went, yeah, I felt really good about this. I felt right about this. Whereas the previous ones are just like, nah, it's not the truth as I see it. It's not what I want for you. It's not what I want for me. It's not what I want for my family. It's more about, those previous lessons were more about, look, you know what? That's not really what it's about. And this was what I've discovered in this time off that I've had, is this is what it's really about. This is how I see it, it's really about. So I'm going to share these lessons learned with you, these 5 major lessons. And here we go. This is number 1. Number 1 is belief. Now, you've heard me talk about belief a lot throughout these podcast episodes. Belief is everything. So if you believe you can do something, you will get there and achieve it. And if you believe that you can't get there, well, you're right, because you won't get there. And belief is your thoughts. Your thoughts are your truths, right? I said to you just before about my truth. This is what I see, what my truth is. And your thoughts are your truths. Your thoughts or your truths dictate how you show up in the world. And it's how you show up every day. So everything that you do in your life is mindset. I want you to understand that. And mindset are thoughts. And whether your thoughts are positive, negative, or neutral, there are thoughts that are just going on there. So it depends where your thoughts are, doesn't it? You can have positive thoughts or good thoughts, encouraging thoughts that put you into a place of being proactive and really going after what you want. You have negative thoughts or bad thoughts, or you're critical of yourself, and that puts you into a place of fear. It puts you into a place of non-action. It puts you into a place of hesitation. It puts you into a place of not trying. It puts you into a place of thinking that you're a failure, and so why bother? So at the end of the day, what I want you to understand here is belief is everything. And what you believe is your truth. It's just what you want your truth to be. And so you've heard me talk about it, in this time, about my lack of belief that I had in me when I was pursuing my tennis career when I was 18, 19, 20 years of age. And because of that lack of belief, I gave up on my dream, which meant I gave up on me. I didn't believe that I could do it. I didn't believe I was good enough. I didn't believe I was worthy of achieving it. I had such a poor opinion of myself. And that was my belief or my truth as I saw it in that time. And over the years, which I'll share with you later, over the years I discovered that, that was just what was going on in my head. That's where my headspace was. Yet here I am now, just turned 50, and I'm like, wow, I have an incredible amount of skills here that I could just do anything that I wanted to do. I'm ready to take on the world. A lot of people at 50 are ready to be thinking about retirement. I had a chat with a lady today that I teach golf. She said when she turned 50, she's only a few years older than me, she said that's what I was thinking about. I'm going to plan for my retirement. She changed jobs. Now she's like, wow, I'm going to work forever. I love what I do. I'm going to pursue what I love. I'm going to earn the money that I want to earn so that I can, do all the activities that I want to do in my life. So I want you to understand that belief is everything. Your truth is everything. And what you believe will be your truth. So it's just what you want your truth to be. Number 2, love yourself. Love yourself really ties in with belief, thoughts or your truths of how you feel about you. And the thing is how do you really feel about you? Can you honestly say that you love yourself? Because most people, I don't believe that they actually really love themselves. I believe that they're highly critical of themselves. Now, I can say that too because I can be quite critical of myself. I can look in the mirror and say, gee, Tiff, look at those lines in that face of yours now. Look at those sunspots that you're starting to develop because you've been in the sun for so long. Look at your body. You could improve a few areas there. Oh, you're starting to look older now, Tiff. I could get into that place of being very critical of myself And it could go on and on and on. But what I choose to do is I choose to look beyond that facade. Because what happens is when we see the exterior of how we look or how someone else looks, we tend to judge that exterior. And it's that saying, you know, like you'd say, don't judge a book by its cover. Well, we do judge a book by its cover. And it's quite common for us to do that. But when we actually look at the interior of ourselves, we can start to see who we really are. Scared to see who we really are. Therefore, we stay busy and we keep ourselves being busy because we think that's how and what we must do. But why? Why should we have that busyness? Because we see a lot of people do that, don't we? It's common to push harder and harder and keep going until we crack and burn out or have a breakdown. But what has all this got to do with loving yourself? I know that's probably what you're thinking. Well, when you push harder and you keep going and you keep criticizing yourself, there's a reason that happens, and that's for whatever reasons you have. So the reasons that I kept pushing harder, kept going, kept being critical of myself was because there is that drive to succeed. But in that drive to succeed, what also was being identified was there was that underlying fear, the fear of not to fail, the fear of not surviving, the fear of not being liked or loved, the fear of not feeling important, the fear of being alone. And when we stop, and this is what I find, is when we stop and we take a break, like a real mental break from not working on our goals or not working on our mission, have left. What is it really that we have left? We just have ourselves, don't we? A raw person. And we're just a person, like a little dot in the ocean of life. So, who are we? And that's it, isn't it? Who are you? Because recently, as you've heard, I've had my 50th. That's why I'm recording this episode. Lots of reflection has gone on during that month of August. And also the future of thinking about life and what is life all about. And I've said to you, I don't feel like I've been around for 50 years. I only feel like I've been around for 20 years. And it goes so quick. And if you're as old as me or you're older than me and you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you are 20, you won't get it until you're 50 because I didn't get it at 20. But you find that the older you get, you really start to look at what life is about. And what is life about? And what I've discovered on a much deeper level, especially lately, especially in these last few weeks, like when I've had this break, because I've been in a huge emotional roller coaster here. And what I've been really asking the question is, what is it all about? And what I'm discovering, it's love. But it's not love, it's not about loving everybody, it's learning to love you. It's learning to accept you. It's having that inner peace within, that so that you feel calm. It's not what you're doing with other people. It's all about what you're doing with yourself. And that's what I'm discovering, that it's, it's just having that calmness within. It's being okay with who you are. It's accepting who you are. I'm not saying that this is the way you are and this is how you should be, and that's how life is. That's not it. And there's another lesson that I talk about in that, in growth. But it's But it's getting to know the true you. And it's getting to know what really and truly makes you happy on the inside. Because that's what it's all about. It's accepting that you are a person who is another dot in the ocean. And being at peace at who you are, a living being or a living, breathing being, that's it. You are a living and breathing being. And how grateful is that to be? How exciting is that to have that? Because you're alive. You have a mind that thinks. It's creative. And you can be and do what you want to be. You can do that. Animals don't have that luxury. Right? They just operate out of that primitive part that in their brain. That's all they know. Their brain is not highly developed like we have. So when you accept that you're a living being that could be or choose to be anything you want to be, isn't that magical? I find that so incredible. What a beautiful place to be in. And when you are at peace within, you're calm within. You don't have your mind going crazy and being critical of who you are. You have love. You have love for you. And when you come from a place of love for yourself, then everything else is magical. Everything else is a bonus. Lesson 3. Follow your dream. Now, you've heard me just about talking about how to love yourself, having that peace within with who you are, having that calmness within. And isn't that the reason that you're here on this planet? Aren't you meant to be happy and do something that you actually love? Of course you are, because what's the point of it all if you're not doing that? What's the point of life if you're just plodding along, if you're just going to school, if you just get a job, if you just have a family and you try to survive financially along the way? You retire and then you die. What kind of existence is that? It's not a very exciting one, is it? Just going through the motions. Life should be embraced. Life should be enjoyed. Life should be pursued. Life should be fun. Life should have many adventures. Life should have many discoveries. Life should have many learnings. Life should have a series of experiences, many amazing experiences, and many memories. And how does this happen? How can you have this enjoyment, the fun, the adventures, the discoveries, the learnings, the amazing experiences, the amazing memories? How can that happen? That can happen by following your dream, doing something that you love. Not because you want to or you have to. It's because you want to, because I've botched that up. But it's not because you have to do that. It's because you want to do that. I've spent most of my life until the age of 45 living with regret and feeling like I was a failure because of my dream as that tennis professional. You've heard me talk about it if you've been listening to me for quite some time. That tennis professional on the tour, #1 in the world, all the endorsements, all the money, everything that goes with the success of being the #1 tennis player in the world. And that didn't happen. And that didn't happen because I gave up on me when I was 20. From the age of 20 to 45. So I spent the next 25 years in that mode of not good enough. I spent the next 25 years of feeling like a failure. I spent the next 25 years feeling like a disappointment. I felt the next 25 years I never felt like I was able to achieve anything significant. I spent those 25 years living with regret. And because I spent my time in that, my head in that space of that 25 years is not good enough, a failure, a disappointment, never able to achieve, living with regret, I missed out on a lot on what life could have been. And I'm not saying the whole 25 years I spent my whole space in that, but those significant lessons that I learnt in those last 25 years from the age of 20 to 45, the majority of that was not good enough, failure, disappointment, not able to achieve, regret. The biggest one was regret. But because my headspace was majority of the time in that, I missed out on a lot of what could have happened in my life. I could have embraced life more. I could have enjoyed life more. I could have pursued more. I could have had a lot more fun. I could have had a lot more adventures. I could have had a lot more discoveries. I could have had a lot more learnings. I could have had a lot more amazing experiences and memories. And I'm not saying that I didn't have that happen in those times. That did happen. But I was so driven by the fear of failing. I was so driven to prove myself to the world, to prove myself to me, to prove myself to my peers, to prove myself to my family, to prove myself to money, to prove that I am successful. I spent all my time in that space. And what is success? What is it defined as? We all have our own definition of success. And in that time, especially from 25 to 45, especially, probably even to the age of 49, right, until recently, my definition of success was money. Being successful, having a lot of money in the sense of being financially free. It was having all the fame. It was having all that acknowledgement for me being the best at something. It was for me to feel significant. But that's not what really success is. Not for me. Success to me is to find something that you love, that you absolutely love. And it will most likely be a few things that you absolutely love. And they can change and they can evolve over time. But the thing is it's following your dream. Whatever your dream is, go after it. Give it all. Give it everything that you've got to give. Embrace it. Enjoy it. Learn from it. Experience it. Have fun with it. Because once it's over, it's over. And isn't that what life is all about? Isn't life all about following your dream and loving what you do and having a happy life? That's what it's all about, isn't it? So I want you to make sure that you go after that and follow your dream. Make sure you do that. Lesson number 4, growth. Now, I'm not talking about growing up in the physical sense. What I'm talking about here is growing you into the person who you want to become. Whatever that looks like for you. Don't accept that that's the way it is because you'll always be that way and you're always going to stay that way. That's not it, because that is a very restricting way to operate. It stops you from learning. It stops you from discovering new things. It stops you from improvement. What they actually classify that as having a fixed mindset. So the thing that I want you to understand here, it's having that growth mindset. Because if I thought that at the age of 20, well, that's the way I am, I'm just going to be a failure forever. I am shy. I am hopeless. I can't achieve anything, etc., etc. And there was a very long list in those days. Then I would never have learned how important it is to grow. I had to go through that huge emotional roller coaster that I went through in that 25-year period of realizing what was going on for me. Because I would never have learned anything if I didn't start working on me, I didn't have that awareness, I would never have learnt how important it is to grow. So don't, because you're in the situation that you are in now and things may not be working for you, keep learning, okay? Keep growing you. Keep learning from the mistakes you make. Keep learning from the lessons that you learn. Don't be afraid to grow, okay? Because life is a school. It's the school of life. That's where we're in. And we do have a roller coaster ride. We do have our ups, feeling like we're on cloud nine. It's like exhilaration. We do have our disappointments. We do have our successes. We do have our failures. We do have our joys. We do have our sadness. We do have our excitement. We do have our fears. But because we have this roller coaster ride, don't protect, don't stop learning, don't stop improving, don't stop growing. Because don't worry if things don't happen on your first go. It's just saying that you're just not ready yet. You may feel like you're ready. And I'll tell you, I've been in that situation many times. I feel like I'm ready. I'm ready to go. But the universe has decided that, you know what? You're not ready yet. Because it won't always happen when you want it to. It will happen when it's meant to happen. And I'm not saying just sit back and relax and do nothing. It's like, okay, well, the universe will just bring it to me. No, you've still got to put the time in. You've still got to put the effort in. You've still got to be clear on what you want. You've still got to keep working on getting better in what you're pursuing. You've still got to keep learning. You've still got to keep testing things. It'll be trial and error. You've still got to keep persisting. You still don't ever give up. But your agenda and the universe's agenda don't always align. It doesn't always happen on your time frame. So what I can say here to you is never be afraid. Never be afraid to learn. Never be afraid to try something new. Never be afraid to make mistakes. Never be afraid to be a beginner at something. Because we don't have it figured out. We think we do, and then we realize that we haven't. We figure it out as we go. Life is just one big process. And the only end goal in life, and that's not our life, that's not our end goal, by the way, but it's the reality, is that one day we will die. But it's what we do in between, from when our life starts to when our life ends. It's what we do in that middle section. And what is the most important message I have here in this lesson? Grow, grow, and grow. Grow into that person that you want to become. And enjoy the process. Lesson number 5. This is it. This is the last lesson. I reckon I spent the first 35 years of my life really not being aware. And that was purely because of where my headspace was at. I was really negative, very self-critical. Yet I had achieved some really great things. If I look back, I had achieved some great things. I became a tennis player. I got the opportunity to play overseas. I got a degree at university. I had a successful tennis coaching business, a successful sports skills business. I've got a successful golf coaching business. I bought a property. I became a real estate agent. I had a choice of any sport that I wanted to pursue professionally because I was given a gift. And we're all given a gift, by the way. It's just figuring out what that gift is. My gift has been sport. I've been very fortunate. But I felt like a failure. I felt like I was never good enough at anything. I felt like no one would ever love me. I thought I was ugly because I never achieved my big dream as a kid. So my life to that point, I felt like I had lived it like in a fog. I felt like I had this huge fog. And what happened was I felt like I just fell into things along the way because I was good at it. I was good at breaking things down and simplifying them. That's why I became a good coach in sport. That's why I had successful businesses, because I was able to relate and teach people in a way that they could understand and execute it. And the turning point in my life came about when I was in this really bad relationship with this guy. And initially, he was charming, he had charisma, he was confident. And I thought, wow, this is the guy for me. He's sporty. He loved sport the way I did. He was passionate about sport, and he was really good at sport. But slowly, what he did, he stripped away my confidence. He took away my independent strength. He made me feel inadequate. And he made me feel so inadequate that I was at the point I was a blubbering mess. And at the time I was doing my golf apprenticeship, I had taken up golf. I was doing my golf apprenticeship. I'd wake up in the morning, I'd be crying my eyes out. I'd drive down to whether I was practicing golf or I was going to work, crying my eyes out. Work was always good once I got there because it was able to get my mind off things and get my mind off him and the way that he was making me feel all the time, how inadequate as a person he was making me feel. Then what would happen was I'd cry all my way back home at night. I'd cry at night. And then I would go to bed and cry myself to sleep. Then I'd wake up through the night and I'd be thinking about things. I had very little sleep. And then I'd cry until I went back to sleep again. And then I'd wake up and I'd cry again. And that was my life at that time. And I knew I just couldn't go on like this. It was killing me on the inside. I knew it was killing me on the inside. I was so sad. So the suggestion from a lovely friend who was also a tennis client as well, but she's become a really, really close friend, Susan. If Susan ever listens to this episode, thank you, Susan. And I was still teaching tennis then. She said to me, Tiff, look, you've got to get some help. You've got to go and do something about this. And I did. I went and saw a psychologist who she recommended. And she said, and the psychologist that I went to see, she said to me, Tiff, I've seen women go through what you're going through for decades. And you actually have a decision to make here, Tiff. So these are the options that you really have. The first option you have is you can stay in this relationship, endure the pain like I've seen other women do for decades, or you can leave the relationship. You can end it. And I did spend the next part of that session, or the rest of that session, crying my eyes out. And I can guarantee you I probably used her whole box of tissues. So she had to go and get another box of tissues probably for the next number of clients that she had to see. But I knew deep down that decision was that I had to leave. Because if I didn't leave that relationship, I knew it would leave me as a bitter, lonely woman, constantly repeating the same patterns with men, feeling like never ever feeling loved, feeling like there was that fear of being abandoned. And I knew that I had to change it. That was the awareness that everything started to change for me. And change it I did. It took a while though. I'm not saying that click. You hear Tony Robbins talk about you can change something in a heartbeat, and you can, because it's a decision that you make, that you change that. And that was the decision that I made. I can't keep living my life like this. This is going to kill me. And I had to change that. But it took a while. Once I made that decision, like, I'm not putting up with this anymore, I'm going to end this relationship. It took a while to work on me. It took a while to build that confidence back that I lost. And I did that through reading lots of books. I did that through attending personal development courses. I did that by listening to, I think it was more CDs still then, versus podcast episodes. We didn't tend to have that so much at that point. The iPhone was about to come out, so we hadn't caught up. Like the technology that we have now, we didn't have that then. But what I did was I kept working on me. And that turning point in my life was very significant. And it was very significant because, one, I became aware, right? I was no longer drifting along like I had and fell into things. That brain fog, that fog that I was listening, that I spent my whole first 35 years of my life in, it was disappearing. Number two, I was no longer going to belittle myself, because if I thought it was okay to belittle me, then I'd allow others to do the same. So it was about building a relationship with me and learning to fall in love with me. Number three, I began to work on my next big dream and my next part of my career. Number four, it built the confidence and trust in me that I could do anything. Number five, I began to enjoy my life again. I began to have a lot more fun. Number six, I did meet my husband-to-be in this development time. He's wonderful. He's supportive. He's been, he's been wonderful for me. Beautiful, beautiful man. My mum says he's the best thing that's ever happened to me. He's very good for me, and he is. He's wonderful. But it wasn't the fact that I met him that made everything change. It was because I made that decision to change who I was. And the major lesson I want you to understand in this awareness lesson is that I woke the up. I won't say it, but you know what the F word is. I woke up. I took charge of my life. I fell in love with me, and I got on with it. So those are those 5 major lessons, and I could add so many more lessons in there. Like I was talking about in the beginning of this episode when I started, there's so many lessons I could share with you. And there's things such as commitment, dedication, work hard, learn from your mistakes, be persistent, be consistent, set your goals, evaluate, look after your body, nutritionally, physically, spiritually, have time out, enjoy life, travel, have adventures. All of those types of things I do talk in my book, Focus, How to Reach Your Potential in Sport, Business and Life. And by the way, you can get the book free if you go to tiffanymika.com/free book. It's all in there for you. But what I want you to understand, because it's important of all those other many more lessons that I've shared with you, life is a process. You will evolve as you grow older. So I don't want you to be afraid of believing in you. I don't want you to be afraid of loving yourself. I don't want you to be afraid of not following your dream. I don't want you to be afraid of growing. Because I believe you can have these 5 major lessons in your life as your core lessons. Belief, right? Believe in you. Love yourself. Follow your big dreams. Grow, keep growing you. Awareness, have awareness of what is going on, what works, what doesn't, how can you make things better. because you will have the most amazing life. Now, you remember, I've just turned 50, and I actually call it the new 20, because I'm just getting started, because I have all this experience, I have all these lessons, I have all these skills, I have so much excitement, so much to look forward to. And I look forward to the next 10 years of what the next 10 years will bring. And I look forward to what the next 10 years will bring for you. So I really hope you enjoyed these 5 major lessons learned in 50 years. I hope you've got a lot of value out of this. And I'd love it if you could leave a message wherever you hear this episode. I'd love to get your feedback on what the lessons that you've learnt throughout your life so far, and how these lessons have helped you, what I've shared with you today, if they have helped you, and how they've helped you or made you more aware. Love to hear from you. So leave a comment wherever you hear this episode. And I'd love it too if you could share these episodes with your friends, because we're all out there, aren't we? We want to be successful athletes. We want to reach our potential. We want to get out there and enjoy the life that we have while we have it. And I want you to take this away with you now. Dream big. Believe in you. Go after your dreams. Take care. Talk soon. Would you like to be able to reach your potential? Great. This is what you need to do. You can get a free copy of my book, Focus, How to Reach Your Potential in Sport, Business and Life. All you need to do is go to tiffanymika.com/free book. Get a free copy of Focus, How to Reach Your Potential in Sport, Business and Life, and I look forward to seeing you there. Dream big, believe in you, go after your dreams.